Good evening, good morning. This is Coach Beasley again with part two of our lecture here. So we're going to get into the layer effects and filters. So part one was just talking about text, giving you a primer on how text works, how fonts work, being able to choose what font you want to use for your project in Photoshop using the artistic type container or using the paragraph container. You're going to use more artistic type than the paragraph type in Photoshop just because of the nature of how text works. You're probably going to wait to do all the text-based, heavy text-based things when you get to some other program like Illustrator or something. Usually Photoshop's for creating like this sample right here, this picture that shows here, this lorem ipsum dolor, something like that, like a title or something like that. So I'm going to show you how to go about using the artistic type tool and creating some text based effects. So you have a text specific filter that's called text warping that we're going to go over first. And then we have layer effects, which you can apply to something other than just text, but text is kind of the good thing to show how that works. I'm just trying to get everything to work. Again, I get the beach ball of death. I've restarted my computer like three times since I went on the break here, and still no joy. It's still just chugging along. Do. Come on. See, when your computer starts running this type of slow and you know it's been running better than that, it's indication that time to restart the computer, time to clean out any issues that may be going on with it, whatever those issues may be. Let me put this character and paragraph panels back over here just to get them out the way. Going back to my type tool, and artistic type again is just clicking into an empty spot and you're going to get your initial text based on whatever you have in your character or paragraph panels. As far as the settings, you'll start with that. And I'm going to type in, let's do my name. So, Coach Beasley is awesome. How about that? Yeah, that works. Okay, so here's just a process that I do all the time. As soon as I finish typing out my text, I don't do any formatting just yet. I'll immediately just come up here and hit the check mark to confirm the application. Then I'll go to the character and paragraph panels and do anything like that will be the formatting for all the text. You know, like I want it all to be center aligned. I want to use, I'll try this 8 heavy. Font, I want that to look that look. Maybe I want it, let's see what all cap or small cap looks like with this. That may be kind of cool, but I kind of like it in the lowercase like that. Color. I want to pick a color that is not straight black or straight white here for this demonstration purposes. This is just so you could see what some of the layer effects will look like. If you do it with straight black text, some of the layer effects, you won't see it. You just won't see the effect. Also, having thicker letters will help when you're demonstrating or trying this out because with the thicker letters, they can, and especially if they're bigger, cover more space. You could see things like the layer effects and the text warping work a little bit better. So I'm just playing around with the options that I have here, seeing what I want to play with and what I want to process. I can use the move tool to actually move the text back to where I can see it on my page. So that looks cool. I like it like that. Another option, if I need to go back and start retyping or reformatting, I can either go back immediately to the type tool or I can double click onto the thumbnail of the type layer and that will reactivate the type tool for me and give me the ability to, edit and change the text as I need to. So if I need to go back, I can easily do that. Another thing, I'm going to do this under edit, but you got edit and free transform. All of your transform options are available. So you have scale, rotating, and skewing. available. I usually do the free transform because it has that keyboard shortcut of Control T or Command T if you're on a Mac. And I can just, change, the scale, the rotation angle, something like that, or just move it around to where I need to. And then when I'm finished, again, just hit the check mark up there to finalize. So those are simple, fast, quick things that you can do. Now, if you're still using the type tool, there's one button that we kind of glossed over that I didn't go through. Is this button here for creating warp text? If you don't want to use your type tool for this, you can go to your type menu and you will see warp text as an option under your type menu up at the top. Either place, you can go and access this particular filter. Now, what warping text will do for you is it takes your letters and twists and turns them into any one of these particular styles. It doesn't really matter which style I pick here. It's just going to apply the style. It lets me see what it's going to do. If I like it, cool, I keep moving. If I want to change it to something else, I could change it to something else. And as I change it, you'll be able to see what the resulting effect will be. All of the styles will have a horizontal and vertical version of that style that, takes it to one extreme or another. You have a bend that you can adjust for, and you have a horizontal and vertical distortion that you can apply. So all of these combined together will allow you to bend and twist your letters in a way that, can I say, not normal? Yeah, I could say it's not the normal way you would see these letters. Um, no one of these styles works in every situation. No one set of settings or whatever is going to work. So when you go and look at tutorials or anything else like that that's telling you to use this, don't go by exactly the numbers. The thing that is always going to be the same, whatever font they choose, the thickness of that font, the size of those letters will factor into how well or how good or bad this warp text is going to look in the end. So if you have something that's nice, like a nice big font like this one that I picked, nice and thick, got it to a big size, whichever one of these formats that I pick from, these different style formats, I want to get something that could look kind of nice, depending on what I decide to land on, because no one thing is better than another. It's just a matter of picking one, seeing what it does, and then changing those little sliders, here underneath and the direction something to get something that you want there. So that's all that comes down to. All right, when you get something that you like, you hit OK, and then what you're going to see anytime that you warp the text, the only thing that you're really going to notice besides the effect that happens is in the layers palette, the thumbnail that represents that type layer, the letter T will be slanted and it'll have a little line underneath it, a little curved line. If you go back to your type tool and look in your options bar, it's the same icon for the warp text that's sitting up there. That's just letting you know that you've warped the text. This is one of these situations where I wish they would make this a little more obvious with things. Um, in case you want to make a change. Because with with all filters, when you apply a filter, it becomes permanently applied, which means that once I apply this, I can't change this. So if I save this file and close it, when I open it back up, this is what I'm left with. However, when it comes to warping of the text, that particular filter, that text warp filter, you can do one of a couple of things. Number one, if you double click onto the thumbnail of that type layer, it highlights and reapply and reactivates your type tool. All right. In the options bar, that button there for the warp type becomes available for you to click on. And then if I click onto that, it takes me right to the warping text that I applied, lets me change it. So this particular filter application is not permanent. You can close this file and open it all the way back up. As long as you got that type layer, this warping text is still live of an effect. It's still a live effect, which means it's not permanently applied. You can always go back and change it from what it was to something new. So again, first step is if you double click onto the thumbnail of the layer, it activates you editing that text again. And then with the text highlighted, you can go to your options bar, and up in the options bar, the button for getting the warp text would be available. So that way you can get in there and change something, like you didn't want it to bend as much or something like that. You can change that, hit OK, and move forward. Another way to get the same thing done, just have the type layer selected, go to your type menu, and then your type menu, you'll see warp text there. All you got to do is click on it, and it pops the dialog box back open, and again, you can make changes. Um, so it's a live effect that you can always get back to and change as you feel you need to change it. All right, now once you've gotten through that, oh, the one thing I never ever checked to see, I wonder if I could select one letter because I don't think this had no, it applies to the entire word. Never mind. What I was thinking of is like, hey, if I select the one letter, can I warp that one letter without the rest of it being affected? And answer is no, can't do that. Um, I would have to make a separate text layer in order to make that happen. So, like, if I wanted Coach and Beasley and Is and Awesome to all have different warping effects, they would all have to be different type layers, which is not difficult. It's just making another text layer and another spot, and type out the text, format it again like you need to or want to, and then just warp the text according to what you want that to warp to, with whatever settings you want to put on that. They're separate from each other. So since they're separate layers, separate text layers, you can have as many of these as you want, for every piece that you got around. Oh, one other thing that I just want to bring up because this has happened in the past and some people pay attention and some people don't pay attention. If you just click in an empty spot, it's going to, if you have the type layer, if you have the type tool selected, it's going to create a text layer. Oh, that was a mistake. I didn't want to do that. So then you go to some other tool and click on some other tool and keep moving. What'll end up happening, you may have one or two layers that just has layer one, two, three, four, five, whatever, and there'll be this letter T for a type tool for a type layer. There's nothing on this layer. All right. If it just says layer one like that, or layer two, or layer three, or what have you, there's nothing on that layer. You can actually throw that one away because that one's useless. It doesn't have anything there. So unless you need to use it, you can throw it away. You don't even know probably where you click that because sometimes you can click in, out here in the pasteboard area, not on the actual canvas. So if that happens, that's what it goes on. Now let's talk about layer effects. Let me get rid of awesome here.